Have you ever been on a phone or video call where you struggle to hear the other parties? It's breaking up, delayed, or drops entirely? I'm Luke, and in this video, I'm going to teach you how to improve your call quality. Here's your warning. We're going to get technical. Let's jump in. What is call quality? It's a holistic measure of how easy it is for the parties on a call to have a productive conversation. It's impacted by the range and severity of technical issues like latency, interrupted or uninterpretable audio, or even at its worst when the call quality is really bad, the call abruptly ending involuntarily. Before you come down this rabbit hole with me, the first thing to ask yourself is it you? It could just as easily be the other parties on your phone calls who have bad cell reception, for example, causing issues. The first thing we're going to look at is one of the most common causes of call quality issues there is. It's called jitter. Jitter is a measure of your internet connection that's separate to speed. People often think, hey, my internet connection is really fast. I have a great internet connection. That can't be the cause of my issues. But you can have a really fast lightning speed internet connection with horrible jitter, and you will have a nightmare on your phone calls and video calls. To fix our call quality issues, we don't have to be technical experts and deeply understand what jitter is. We just need to know that it exists and how to measure it. For phone calls and video calls, the best of the best is an average jitter of 30 milliseconds or lower. 100 milliseconds or lower is fine, and you're probably not going to run into too many issues. If you have average jitter of more than 100 milliseconds, you're going to start to see really noticeable problems. Testing network jitter is not so easy, and it's not something we're going to cover in this video. If you're trying to improve your call quality at work, share this video with the people responsible for your IT. If you're comfortable with more technical tasks, I want you to test your network jitter using the Ookla Speed Test CLI. There are a lot of free off-the-shelf tools that we can use to test jitter on our network, and I've used them. The Ookla Speed Test CLI is the best. It gives us great information really quickly. We can see the lowest measurement of jitter, the highest measurement of jitter, and more importantly, the average. If we're getting a low average jitter measurement on our download and upload, that's great. But we might also be seeing some really high measurements on our upload or download. And that's something to keep an eye out for, because you might have an average jitter of 80 milliseconds, like in the test that I've got right here, but you might have actually seen jitter of over 1,000 milliseconds during that test, and that can still cause some issues. So let's move on to talk about the components that affect your call quality. Everything from the headset you use, the router you connect to, even your internet service provider, and the software you use to make your calls has a part to play. So let's start off with our users' devices. The quality of our mobile phones and our laptop devices probably isn't going to cause us any issues, but modern and high quality devices is best. Headsets, on the other hand, are very important. Now, interestingly, it doesn't matter so much how expensive and high quality they are. What does matter is that they are wired. Headsets that plug into your devices will improve your experience and add to your call quality. It's because data transmission is generally much more reliable through a fixed wire than it is through a wireless connection. This one's super important because your router setup probably has the biggest influence on your call quality out of anything that we're going to discuss today. The router you use was designed with limits on the rate at which it can transmit data between the internet and your devices, the number of devices that can be connected to it simultaneously, and the distance between the router and the device that's connected to it in the context of a wireless connection. General rule of thumb, the cheaper the routers, the worse they perform on those measures. And when you're working from home, you're probably using the router that your internet service provider gave you for free, which is a very, very cheap router. You can plug in the device that you use to make your calls to your router with an Ethernet cable. That's great, and that's going to improve your experience, but it won't solve all of your problems. If you want to improve your call quality when you're working from home, I would highly recommend going to your local tech store and buying a new router for $50 to $150. Extra points for the number of aerials it has on it. You don't have to get the best router. Unless you've got an enormous house or a lot of people with a lot of devices, a $100 router is going to be more than enough for pretty much everything you do when you're working from home. If you're working from an office, that's a lot of people with multiple devices using your internet connection at the same time. A quick way to improve your connection strength and your call quality is to make sure that you're connecting your laptop devices, thin clients, and desktop computers via Ethernet connections, not over the wireless internet. If you want to improve the Wi-Fi at the office, think about the number and location of routers, otherwise known as access points, compared to the number and location of connected devices. This one is only relevant for your network at the office. Your network switch is the intermediary between your main internet connection and the access points throughout the office. So thinking about the network switch's quality is important. And you can test and compare the network switch that you use today with alternatives. Your internet service provider only has so many servers, and there are only so many cables in the ground. So when demand on the internet services in your local area or for your internet service provider goes up, quality of the connections on that network goes down. If you've tried everything else, you can trial alternative internet service providers, but make sure to test their network for jitter using the Ookla Speed Test CLI. Of course, the phone system that you use is also going to have an effect on your call quality and your general experience. When investigating your phone system, it can be useful to understand, are they using popular and reliable voice over IP codecs? What's the quality of their engineering? Of course, if they have great customer service, they might be able to help you with your call quality issues. When you're looking to replace your phone system and trialing alternative providers, make sure you test with a diverse group of users and make sure you make the test realistic. So you're putting enough calls through the system to see if the call quality is the same, worse, or better. So let's go through our best practice recommendations. For the highest likelihood that you'll have good call quality, use wired headsets with modern, high-quality mobile and desktop devices. Use high-quality routers when you're working from home or the office. If you can, make sure you're connected to your router via Ethernet and have a large number of them in the office. Use a high-quality network switch. Make sure your internet service provider has a reliable network with low jitter, and work with a knowledgeable, reliable phone system provider like VXT. If you have any questions about the information I've covered in this video, or you just want to use a better phone system, you can reach out to us at vxt.co.nz.